So what I noticed as I was perusing the news today is that there wasn't too much on the front of like uh anything that was like major standing, and then there was this random thing I saw about critical race theory, and I covered a segment on Tuesday about critical race theory, and I delved into it. So it was like, oh, look, it's the nose on the head making me repeat myself. And then somebody had made a video and it was like, PragerU is lying to you about critical race theory. So I said, let me just look at a scholarly article. Critical race theory is an academic movement of civil rights scholars and activists in the United States who seek to critically examine the law as it intersects with the issues of race and to challenge mainstream liberal approaches to racial justice. CRT examines social, cultural, and legal issues as they relate to race and racism. Who it was started by, rooted in critical theory, which argues that social problems are influenced and created more by societal structures and cultural assumptions than by individual and psychological factors. CRT is loosely defined by two common themes. First, that white supremacy, societal racism exists and maintains power through the law. Second, that transforming the relationship between law and racial power and also achieving racial emancipation and anti subordination more broadly are possible. Critics of CRT argue that it relies on social constructionism, elevates storytelling over evidence and reason, rejects the concepts of truth and merit, and opposes liberalism. Ironically. Okay, so if at any point in these videos you see anything about how the liberal left wants this, that is a lie. That is a lie. I already said that, and I don't want to sit here and click the, actual writings, because if you read the actual writings, which I did because I'm insane, um, it, it focuses on whiteness, but it focuses on it without like the preconceived bias of it was done specifically for like, okay, I don't want to make like, there is no summation of white guilt. There is a underlying foundation of how we've built this society in America where it naturally favors whiteness by limiting what others could do. So therefore, it's like you learn to ride a bike at 23, somebody learned to ride their bike at age 5. The race that you really wanted to enter that would have, let's say, won you enough money to go to college was only for 18 and under. So, because you learned so late in life and they learned so early in life, they had a better chance to do more of the things that allows them to use the system the way it's intended for a privileged person or a person who can apply into this system. So it's like you live poor and you have to work 5 days a week just to afford rent, the odds of you running into somebody who can get you into a country club is really low. Therefore, you probably won't go to a country club. Okay, so when you have a child, let's say you're still living the same way, the odds of them getting into a country club or running into country club things is very low, right? So systemically, you can make the argument that there are a lot of things that are ladled in our framework that have used the power of direct exclusion to then lead to a residual rebounding effect. Critical race theory does it a lot better with like the ideas of national rights, with the idea of legal doctrines, rules, laws that were created specifically for that. And then when like slavery was banned and Jim Crow was banned, they didn't get rid of the laws; they reframe them so that way it doesn't explicitly target them, but it implicitly targets them. Does that make sense? It's critical race theory. Now that you know that, or now that we have a ground understanding of that. First, we're going to look at the Heritage Foundation. and let's see what they have to say on the subject. I love that. I love the hook. You tell me that critical race theory. Oh man. I just went outside, so obviously allergies are gonna kick up. Thought I had time. Thought I had time. Thought I had time. Oh man. Anyway, thank you. He said bless you out loud. They tell me, okay, critical race theory does this and does this. But what is it? Like, thanks for already feeding me into like how negative it is and then what it is. It seeks to solve concerns about racial inequality. Sounds based. But instead of solving problems, it creates new ones. Why did they use two chickens fighting in the background? I was like, yo, I wanna be so straightforward. I wanna be, educated. It's just so funny. It promotes the belief of a fundamentally racist country. Then puts the forefathers of the country in Mount Rushmore in the background. You're clever. You're clever. I get that. See, you almost had me. America's a fundamentally racist country. Is it? Like, didn't these people own slaves and have the teeth of slaves? And then, like, one dude freed the slaves because it was a good political move. Like, I don't think. I don't think you're saying what you think you're saying, but no, go off, go off. The quiet part out loud. The quiet part out loud. The law designed to maintain white supremacy, and that all of our institutions are designed to maintain white supremacy. Okay, white supremacy is a trigger, is a not a dog whistle. It's a catch. It's a hook because white supremacy doesn't mean Nazism. White supremacy does not mean the KKK. I mean, those are the extreme forms of it, but white supremacy is more like white people are the supreme beings and therefore they are coddled by every institution. Not what do you mean by every institution? Like the law, yes. Um the law, yes. Like the law, like you get the law which allows you to do things like tax loopholes while like minorities who owe money to the government is getting liens and getting their shit ripped out their apartments. I don't like, oh, I never paid $75 in taxes. Like, critical race theory sees every human relationship in terms of a race based power struggle. That is not true. We just covered that. It sees institutions like law, education, and business. You can't be serious, right? You can't be serious. Like, no way, homie. No way. The solution critical race theory promotes? Overthrow them. Critical race theory rejects individual freedom. Remember what we've talked about on the stream about individual freedom and how that is another one of those great buzzwords that black conservatives really like to tie to. And see, like, you get it when you get it. And personal responsibility, that's the other, literal, oh, I just said it. Critical race theory does not reject individual freedom and personal responsibility. As a matter of fact, it's saying that the immediate judge of personal characteristics between two people are ladled with so many overtones and undertones. The whole song between two people and an interaction is ladled with it to the point where there is an expectation for how you will either act or behave. That's why I wonder why people say, I don't care if you're black, white, blue. I don't judge people on color. I judge them on character. It's like, why do you think your neighborhood doesn't have that many black people in it? See, like how like you would analyze yourself because you don't want to be called a racist, or you don't want to be called a bigot, or even worse, you don't want to be called a Nazi. But you look inward and say, I don't have the extremes of those names, therefore I could never be it. But you still participate in taking actions here and there that would also consider you like really prejudiced and or biased. And it's like, you may not think of yourself as a racist, but you participate in a system that puts you up there anyway. And critical race theory is the easy way to, and I don't even know why it's getting popular in that sense. Um, Critical race theory is the easy way to say, okay, if too much of this system has that ladled in it to where there's people who work there, people who learn there, nepotism, parents, teaching down to their kids, whatever, then why let that system exist? If the system is in place and it does the thing by design, then either you change the design, which is really hard, or you just get rid of it, which would be the easier thing, and replace it with a like-minded system that treats everyone equally. I don't know how that's hard to not get. We literally just said this. It does not pit the groups against each other. It is a theory, my guy. Nobody who learns critical race theory looks at every white person and it's like, your fault, your fault. I think you need a situation to even begin talking about it. Nope. Nope. That's a lie. The American founding encoded into its constitution like slavery. Like, what are you talking about? I hate when people bring up American founding like the country was founded for white people. That was the whole like genre. Like, we know that. That's not a hidden detail. Like, come on. How can we fight back? Shows a picture of two white people. Speak up. Then shows the minorities. Then black show. Ask your chosen teachers what curriculum they use for civics, English, and history. Proudly tell the truth about America. We are the land of the free with unlimited opportunity. We literally reject people from coming into the country. Why would you say this? We fight toxic ideologies by sharing the truth. Promoting opportunities that allow everyone to pursue the American.
Thanks for watching the Heritage.
Nah, you're good. I knew it was going to be a white woman at the end. You're good, homie. All right, PragerU. Oopsies.
Have you heard about critical race theory? I'm guessing you probably have. It has already insinuated itself into many institutions and is making rapid progress into others. If it takes hold, it will completely change the very nature of America and the way you live. Critical race theory holds that the most important thing about you is your race.
We
The
literally
color of your
said
skin,
that.
that's who you are. Not your behavior, not your values, not your environment.
Critical race theory deals with environments and how they're. Oh shit, they literally are lying. Wow, it's 30 seconds in and you couldn't stop yourself from like at least getting some. Oh.
Your race. In critical race theory, if you are a member of a minoritized racial group, their term, not mine, you are a victim of a system that is rigged against you, a system
Yes.
that doesn't want you to succeed.
Not doesn't want you to succeed, makes it harder for you to succeed. We want less of you flooding the gates of success. That's not. It's like you just passed a law, an anti-trans bill in a state, and then y'all say critical race theory is a lie. Like,
On the other hand,
I guess
if your
trans
race is
people can't
privileged,
succeed?
you're an
Like, what the
exploiter,
fuck, bro?
whether you intend to be or not. Critical race theory begins from the assumption that racism occurs in all interactions.
Not all interactions.
To see how this works,
So they're humanizing critical race theory to say they're teaching your children to be bad to be mad at white people. Like you see a white kid, you go punch him because he's part of the system.
consider this thought experiment. Imagine you own a shop and two customers enter at the same time, one white and one black. Who do you help first?
Whoever walked in first.
If you help the black person first, critical race theory would say you did so because you don't trust black people to be left alone in your store.
Critical race theory would not say that. Why did you assume? Oh, hold on. Go back a second. Roll it back. Roll it back. Roll it back. Roll it back. Why is the shop owner white? Why is the shop owner like? What if it was the shop owner was black? What if it's a black-owned business? Would you still apply?
That's racist. If you help the white person first instead, critical race theory would say you did so because you think blacks are second-class citizens. That's racist too.
You've got to be kidding me. This is the best they've got?
That's
is what
critical
they've
race
got?
theory. It can find
No, it is not.
racism in anything, even
Okay, it's a fear-mongering video.
if it has to read your mind to do it. Critical race theory is a uniquely American invention. Brewed up at Harvard Law School in the 70s, now part of the academic and media mainstream, it is also uniquely un-American because it rejects the core tenets of the American, classically liberal Judeo-Christian value system. It turns the bedrock American idea upside down. Here it is in the words of Richard Delgado and Gene Stefanchik, two leading proponents. Critical race theory questions the very foundations of the liberal order, including equality theory, legal reasoning, Enlightenment rationalism, and the neutral principles of constitutional law. It does this because critical race theory proponents assume racism is present everywhere and always, and they look for it critically until they find it. And they always find it. It has to be there because that's how the imperial European powers and then America set things up. Here, as in all dangerous academic theories, there is a kernel of truth. Human beings were not preoccupied with race until the 16th century, when Europeans began to explore and then colonize other parts of the world. Drawing distinctions between the races reached its peak in the 19th century with the widespread use of slave labor in North and South America. No one denies this. But since then, the Western
Wait, hold on. But you just said America wasn't founded on that. But that's what we practiced.
world, and most especially America, has spent a lot of time, money, and blood breaking free of its racist past. It's been a rocky road for sure.
You ended slavery, and then for the next 100 years was like, but black people are still bad, so we're still gonna treat them bad and lynch them and like whites only. The laws told you it was a bad thing. The laws never made you like analyze why you did it.
Sure, but great progress has been made. Critical race theory says all this progress is a mirage. Racism never died, never even faded a little bit. It just hid itself better.
When was racism over? You shot Martin Luther King.
Critical race theory, therefore, is not a continuation of the civil rights movement. It is, in fact, a repudiation of it. To critical race theorists, Martin Luther King was both wrong and naive. White Americans can never judge blacks by the content of their character. They can only judge them, always unfavorably, consciously or unconsciously, by the color of their skin.
Oh God, it's not about the people. That's the whole point of critical race theory. It's not about the people. The people are the last in the chain of thought. Like the whole thing is about how we view like if okay, so people are gonna watch this video, it's 19 minutes in, and they're gonna say, what's your point? What's your grand point here? Please explain to me then why the entirety of the Republican National Convention was about how they're going to build low cost affordable housing in your suburbs. They're coming to your neighborhoods. Who were the they? Why was the poor being able to have a spot in the suburbs such a bad idea? Who were they aiming towards? Who takes the low rent? What was the ooh, God damn. That was less than a year ago. Less than a year ago.
Ironically, not since the Aryan obsession in Germany in the 1930s and 1940s, or South African apartheid in the second half of the 20th century, has a social movement been so obsessed with race. Critical race theory is then in the 1930s and second half of the 20th century, has a social movement been so obsessed with race.
So they're saying that it could cause a genocide. That's a super shitty. That's such a super shitty. Wow, that's impressively stupid.
Critical race theory is then, in a very real sense, a counter-American revolution. But that's a positive, not a negative to those who subscribe to the theory. The American experiment was given a 400-year tryout, and it doesn't work. So let's scrap it. That's what they believe. Is that what you believe?
No.
I'm going to guess that most of you don't. So how do we stop critical race theory before it infects the brains of too many decent Americans, especially young people, and turns us into something we have never been and shouldn't ever want to be? The answer is simple. Refuse to accept it. Don't be intimidated by the heads I win, tails you lose.
What happened to the marketplace of free ideals?
Logic of this self-destructive.
I thought the whole thing was do your own research. I thought their whole motto was like, think whatever you want to think.
America-hating, anti-reality idea. Don't be bullied into thinking that you're racist when you know you're not.
And didn't I covered that in the beginning. I'm done. Simple. That's the whole point. They're liars. It's full of shit. I literally, in the beginning of the video, covered exactly what that feeling, what that whole thing was not about, and what was the last thing that they end on. It being that. Like, I host a show on Twitch that has about 5 to 7 viewers a day. I have 180 or 190 something followers. You are a multi-million-dollar corporation. There is no way you're getting this that wrong by accident.